Well, this is video 2, isn't it? So
Yeah, we're on video 2.
video 2 already, and we're on Kite Beach in Dubai. As you can see, it's called Kite Beach for a reason. There's a lot of kites there. I hope the wind's not too bad. I have got a little like hamster on.
It's Friday night.
It's Friday night, yeah. Yeah,
Fine.
yep.
So you're going to tell everyone how you got into self-development?
Yeah, self-development. So I'll tell the Dave Gibson story. So once upon a time, after a business that I tried to get off the ground, which was a carpentry business, had failed, I was in debt, and I went and got a job in Jewson's because I had some like building expertise. So I went and got a job in a local Jewson's. For those who don't know, like Jewson's is like a building supply company, so it's like a big shop, like Home Depot or something like that, and they sell building materials. So I got a job there, and I was basically stacking shelves. It was a shit job, and one of the worst things about it was a lot of people would come into the shop who were like plumbers, electricians, carpenters, builders that I knew, and they would see me stacking shelves or mopping the floor, and it was a bit humiliating. But anyway, I got a job there, and one weekend I was working, this old couple came in, and the guy had some like at the weekends like DIY people used to come in, and it used to really annoy all the staff there because they don't know what they're talking about and they ask a lot of questions. Anyway, one weekend this old couple came in, and this guy had some wooden pegs that he said had fallen out of the beams in his house, and he needed to replace them. And did we have anything that was like that? And obviously we didn't. And I saw other members of staff sort of fobbing this guy off, and he was very sweet. And I started talking to him, and I basically was like, oh, look, I can't do it at work, but I still had a workshop then. I can make you some of these and replace these for you, but here's my number, contact me and we'll set something up outside of this job. So anyway, he texted me, and I went up to my workshop, and I think I charged him like 50 quid to make a load of these wooden pegs. He told me how many he needed. I made them all up, and then I turned up at his house to fit them for him because he couldn't fit them, and he was an elderly chap. So anyway, I turn up at his house, and it's a fucking palace. Like it's immense, and I'm like, oh shit! And there's a Aston Martin on the driveway, and I'm like, oh no, this guy's serious. And anyway, I start fitting these things for him, and he's he nearly stepped on a rock there. And like he's chatting to me, and he's really sweet, like really nice old guy. He's asking me loads of questions. He's asking me where I came from and all this sort of stuff. I'm telling him about my history as music and all that other stuff. And he tells me, like I start asking him questions about him. He tells me that he's written a book, and I'm like, no way. Like, what is the book? And the book was called What They Don't Teach You in School, or Why Didn't They Teach Me This in School? And he asked me if I'd like a copy, and I was like, yeah, can you sign it? And he signed a copy of the book for me and gave it to me. And I was like, wow, wicked, cool. And I finished the job. He paid me the 50 quid or something like that. And I think he might have given me more. And I tried not to accept, but he wouldn't have it. And sent me on my way with a copy of the book. And I read the book. And it was really good. It was like an introduction to like self-development. It was all about like attitude and all of this kind of stuff, and his story, and how he had been like broke, and how he'd got his shit together and become like a very, very successful guy. And anyway, so I really enjoyed the book, and I started sort of like putting a lot of that stuff into practice. And then fast forward a few years. Had my own business and was making money and was doing all right. And then I wrote to him, and then I wrote a letter to him, and I dropped it around his house because I knew where he lived. And he wrote back to me. I think he wrote me an email just saying thanks for keeping him updated. And then I've seen him around since as well. I saw him in town once, and I bumped into him, and I told him that I was on the cusp of making my first million. And he was like, and he said to me, I knew that like it was worth giving you the book, because I knew you had it in you. And it was like a really important thing about that story is like I think he was like one of the first people who I felt like believed in me or saw something in me, and so I feel really like I feel like I owe that guy, and I still write to him occasionally now, and that was kind of my intro into self-development.
So is he like a mentor then? Would he be a mentor?
Yeah,
Have
so
mentors?
yeah, so he is like he was like a first, I guess you could say a first mentor, yeah.
And have you got any mentors now that you're working with or you look up to?
So mentors is an interesting one, isn't it? Because like I think people assume that with mentors people assume that you have to work with you have to work directly with a mentor, but I'm not sure that's true. Like, so a lot of mentors I think are kind of like the people that you watch on YouTube, or the people that you, let's walk this way, otherwise we're going to get really far away from all our stuff, or the people that you read your books from. Like, so if you read a biography or something, that person can be your mentor. But I did have a life coach at one point, and that was a guy called Chris Robson. Shout out Chris Robson Lifestyle. He was my first life coach that I worked with one-on-one, and he's a trained I forget the fucking certification, the one I've got now. ICF, thank you. He was an ICF certified life coach, the same training I did. Working with him was really good. That was after I read that Dave Gibson book. And then after I worked with Chris, I then worked with David Hames. David Hames is a business coach. David Hames at one point was the CEO of Itsu, the sushi chain. And David was great. Like, what I liked about David was he was older. He was really experienced. He'd managed and worked in big businesses, and that was very business orientated. But David taught me a lot, and he knew a lot about self-development, and he was really into Jim Rohn. For those who don't know, Jim Rohn was Tony Robbins' mentor. So you can see there's this like incestuous kind of family tree of mentors that mentor. Yeah, like that. It's really quite interesting, and when you get into it, it's quite useful to have mentors. Other mentors I have at the moment, Ollie Carson I've worked with in my coaching thing. Ollie is amazing. He's like, I've never known someone who's so generous with his, not just his skills, but like everything he's acquired, he just gives away. I've really enjoyed working with that guy, and seeing him and the way he runs his business, which is all about value for those people. That's amazing. He was mentored by Phil Graham. Phil Graham's quite like well known in the fitness space. He's someone I've spoken to as well. But I think there comes like a point where mentors are like, there's stages you need mentors. I'm not sure that you necessarily always need mentors. Like someone like me, a little bit like I could be distracted when mentors and coaching, and I can coach myself half to death or have mentors, and we were having this conversation earlier about it's about, at this point in my life, it's about doing the thing, because I've gone too hard in the mentor space and the reading about the thing and the researching about the thing and planning what I'm going to do, and not actually just doing that stuff. So New Year's sort of like plans are more about actually executing rather than planning, thinking, talking, making content about, that kind of stuff.
So what do you think is coming next?
So what's coming next? So it is that stuff, right? So my plans for the year coming up are more about just boring execution. And Joe and I were having this conversation earlier about, how I've watched other people doing things rather than doing it myself, because, to quote Chris Williamson, watching other people do the thing is not doing the thing. So I like it's a different kind of procrastination that I guess I've been caught in, and I think some of that has been brought around by the luxury of having some disposable cash, and then all of a sudden when you're like, fuck, I need to go to the next level, you realise where your problems lie, and it's in not executing enough. So what's next for me is just pure belligerent execution on doing the things that I know I need to do, and that comes down to like really boring things like like going to bed when I say I'm going to go to bed, getting up when I say I'm going to get up, doing X amount of working hours. You know, there's things that I'm really good at executing on, like training and working out and going to jiu-jitsu and reading. Like you know, I'm really good at these things. The things that I'm not so good at executing on are, you know, sitting down to do periods of focused work, hammering through to-do lists, and things that, you know, are not like the sexy side of work and all the rest of it. You know, I can make it look amazing, but like actually just sitting down and doing the nitty-gritty work, picking up the phone, calling potential customers for the fire stopping business, or sitting down and learning how to edit so that I can make better YouTube videos. These sorts of things are the things that I'm going to be doing more of. So that's what's next. So
Sounds good.
yeah, so if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you find me on Instagram. I'm Tom Ford Online. If you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, then please subscribe. You know, I've got a couple of hundred subscribers already, so I'd really like to get that up, because that would be great. I'm going to keep on making these videos. If there's any ideas you have for videos, or any questions or anything you'd like me to waffle on and talk about, then please fire them in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next one.